record. Okay, here we go. We are recording. So my name is Kathy Hart, or some people know me as Kathy Achenbach. Kathy Hart was my radio name. Since I'm no longer in radio, I'm kind of back to my maiden name, Kathy Achenbach. So anyway, I wanted to share something. I was kind of called out at church this past weekend, and it wasn't directly, it wasn't one-on-one, but the message that Pastor Bob was giving us, Pastor Bob Schwan at my church, although he may not want me to share his name based on what I'm going to share. But anyway, so he talked about how we need to tell our story. And my story has a lot to do with my faith. But I've just been putting it off because it's a pretty vulnerable thing to do. And I've just been getting a lot of signs and hearing a lot of whispers to tell my story. So this Sunday, it was like, okay, enough, Kathy, tell your story. So like I said, part of my story involves quite a storm that I went through in my life in a short period of time. And my faith is what got me through. So I know a lot of people are feeling that right now. And so that's the purpose of this. I had talked over the summer, I had posted something on Facebook called how I wanted to do something called Jesus Light for people that need some faith, but they don't know what to do. They want to dip their toe in it. They may not necessarily want to open a Bible or go to church, but they are craving faith in some way. And so I feel like, based on my experience, because I just started going back to church, and a lot of this is a new experience for me, but it helped me so much. I feel like I'm being called out to share and to tell my story. So here we go. And one of the things that Pastor Bob also mentioned was show and tell. And it was a whole different thing, but it made me think about show and tell growing up, of course, as a kid. And I, for the life of me, could not think of anything I took to show and tell. I texted my sister. I'm like, do you remember anything that we took to show and tell? And I still can't remember anything. And I don't know if it's because we grew up, I would say, middle to lower class, but an hour outside of Chicago. And when my parents divorced, we didn't have a lot of money. We didn't have a lot of things. And it's not like show and tell necessarily had to be something valuable to take, but I just remember not having anything impressive, or at least feeling insufficient with what I would bring to show and tell. So it reminded me of how I felt like I didn't fit in. And I felt this a lot in childhood, and I have even felt this in adulthood. And it's one of the reasons that I went back to church, because I felt like it was a place that I could fit in. Now, I grew up Catholic, and I tried so hard with different churches, and I just wasn't getting out of those churches what I needed. So I just stopped going altogether. And I just felt lost. And after I lost my radio job, I felt like I lost my identity. I felt like I lost my purpose, because I've been in radio for 30 plus years, at this one job for over 20 years. And again, that was Kathy Hart. It was so much who I was for so long. And when I lost that job, I just felt lost. And I think a lot of people are experiencing that right now. And I think that's why I feel strongly enough to move forward with this. And I hope that what I share is going to help people feel not so lost. A lot of people are just in a position where we don't know where to turn. And through 2020, a lot of people have been turning to things they shouldn't. A lot of people are binging Netflix and food and porn and Pinot and social media. And I know I've over imbibed in some of those, mostly Pinot, but anyway, I think we all know that that's just a Band-Aid. It's just temporary, and it's not what we really need. So another message at church this Sunday was an invitation. And yeah, I'm going to read a verse. Whoa, Kathy's reading a Bible verse. It's Matthew chapter 11, verse 28. I hope you stick with me. Then Jesus said, "Come to me, all of you who are weary and carry heavy burdens, and I will give you rest." How many people are resonating with that? How many people are weary, carrying heavy burdens, and need rest? And I think a lot of people do right now. There was a time where I needed rest, not only because I was waking up at 3:30 in the morning for 20 plus years, but my soul was just exhausted. In fact, I was getting acupuncture once, and my acupuncturist is my friend, and she's like, "Kathy, your soul is dead." I was like, wow, I felt that, but I didn't know she could pick up on it. And another person doing energy work on me said, it feels like there's barbed wire around your soul. And they were right. I I just felt nothing for a long time. And my husband at the time, I think, was picking up on it and said, do you want to go to church? Before we got together, there was a church that I went to pretty regularly. So I said, okay, yeah. And he told me which one it was. I was like, oh, that's a church where they're all like, woo, there's a band and they're raising their arms. And growing up Catholic, like you don't make noise in church, you get shushed a lot. So, but I was really desperate and I said, okay, let's give it a shot. So we started going and I just started to feel really good. And the more I went, the more I just felt love. I felt this unconditional love that I've never experienced in my life. And it started to feed my soul. And I started to feel like I belonged. And the more I went, the more I experienced this feeling. And I finally understood why people were so passionate and enthused when they were at this church. And it was just a safe place. I felt safe. I felt like I could be vulnerable. I could cry. I felt God's mercy and I felt God's grace. And I felt like I could unload my burden in church. And I was joking with some friends how I wanted this Sunday feeling every day. It was like God was my crack. And not like I've ever done crack. I don't know what that's like, but I'm just like, God's like, I can't get enough. I want this every day. And again, I was joking with friends. I'm like, I want to share this with everybody. Like, I want to be God's dealer. I want everybody to feel what I feel. And then I remembered working in radio, we were taught never ever talk about your religion, share your religious beliefs on the radio. And, you know, we're seeing it's being taken out of schools. And I just think that there's this stigma attached now to sharing your Christian beliefs. So I stayed away from it and stayed away. I said, it's just not my place. And I didn't want people to think, oh God, Kathy won all Jesus. But I was trying to find a way to share this feeling with people, but do it in a way where it wouldn't scare people off. So I hope this is what this is going to be. I hope Jesus Light, and I don't know if that's what I'm going to call it, but for now, that's what I'm going to call it. I hope this is going to help some people just feel safe. And, you know, I think that we have just gotten too comfortable not being okay with so many things. We've just gotten too comfortable with it. I think 2020 is changing things. I think we are learning to speak up more for what we believe in and speak up with our feelings. And I even saw the meme. Somebody mentioned something about 2020 being God's vision, his 2020 vision. He wants us to see clearly. And all these things are happening for us to basically get our act together. This is not the world that God wants for us. So believe that or not, I do believe that it is absolutely a time for transformation and change. And what are we going to do with it? Are we going to stay in that comfortable zone where we're comfortable not being okay? I hope not. So, Pastor Bob, I'm pushing through the fear. I'm doing what you said. And he also mentioned that we don't necessarily have to be a master in theology. And I'm not going to lie, I had to look that up. I know that it had something to do with the study of religion, but it's the study of the nature of God and religious beliefs. We don't need to know the Bible inside and out. He wants us to let people see that you've experienced the love and the kindness and the grace of God. And I have, so I'm sharing. I hope Jesus the Light doesn't offend anyone. I certainly do not mean any disrespect by it, but what I share here and how I share it is likely very unconventional, but that's kind of been me my whole life. So I also thought maybe that's God's plan for me. That's kind of what I've been like my whole life, a little unconventional. And so maybe this is his purpose. And for people that maybe have lost faith or didn't have any faith or just lost hope, I hope I can help. I know what I'm talking about because I lost hope for a long time. The storm that I mentioned, I went through a lot in a very short amount of time. I lost my mom, who was my rock. I was diagnosed with mold toxicity, which is a lifelong thing. Lost my job of 20 plus years, lost my career. Had to move out of my house because of the mold illness, and I had to leave almost everything behind. Got divorced again. I lost most of my savings in a failed investment. It was a dream of mine and it didn't work out. I had 2 kids diagnosed with Lyme disease, a best friend diagnosed with incurable cancer, and made this major move from Chicago to Montana. So I know it's a lot. And my friends and people were like, holy crap, like, how did you get through all that? And friends and family definitely helped, but I have to give credit to God and me going back to church and that safe place where I felt that God had a plan. And somebody said, I heard somebody reference, the bigger the storm, the more God is at work on you. And boy, was he at work, because I thought, okay, can the storm be over? I'm done, I'm ready. But I did have faith that it was his plan. And another scripture that I saw, this one I actually saw in Hobby Lobby. It's a really popular, I love Hobby Lobby. Like, don't get me started. It looks like Hobby Lobby yacked in my house because I love it that much. But anyway, it's from Jeremiah 29:11. You've probably seen it in memes on social media. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. And that's by my nightstand. And I remembered it through a lot of this storm. And I had faith that God has a plan. And I didn't know what it was. And I was really impatient because so much was going on and I felt like nothing good was happening. But I knew that I had to keep the faith. I know there's a Bon Jovi reference there, but anyway. But speaking of music, I watched Bruce Springsteen's documentary Letter to You, and he mentioned his song Power of Prayer. And he said, I grew up Catholic, and that was enough to turn me off from religion. You can run away from your religion, but you can't run away from your faith. You can run away from your religion, but you can't run away from your faith. That really resonated with me. And I thought, okay, well, you can't run away. Man, can you get lost? Can you get lost? And so I wanted to share that if you're feeling lost, if you want to renew your faith, if you want to find faith, it's not necessarily about opening the Bible or going to church. Church is not sitting in a pew. It's not a building. It's not on Sundays only. Church is wherever you want it to be. It's wherever you make it. I think that my generation, yeah, my son, 12-year-old, calls me boomer. But I also think that their generation and the younger generations have forgotten the greatest resource that we have when life gets hard. I think that some were never even taught that resource. And sadly, I think the Bible is no longer considered our moral compass. I think that everyone now seems to decide for themselves what is right and wrong. And it's like we have no compass. So that's what I hope this becomes, a little bit of a compass, a little bit of hope, a way for you to find your way, find faith, whatever it takes, just to help get through some hard times. So this is probably not going to be for everyone. If you know someone who may resonate with this and may be wanting a little bit of faith in their life, then by all means, please share it with them. But I am going to share some things that got me through. And so every episode, I want to share just some takeaways that might help you out. One of them is to find a Christian station or some Christian music, any kind of music that helps, because music is so healing and really helped me get through. A lot of songs that I heard were sending me a message that I really needed to hear at that time. When you're in a negative place or you have negative thoughts, pause and just give it to God. Give those thoughts to God. Release them. Let them go. Give it to God. When you're feeling scared or anxious or lost about anything, ask God to give you direction. Ask him. I guarantee he's listening. If you don't have a church and you maybe want to kind of figure out a place to go, you can look online. A lot of places are streaming services, and maybe Google something in your area, check out their Sunday streaming and see if that resonates with you. maybe start off with something non-denominational. Again, it's very, very personal. Just find something that connects with you and that might help. Books, search some books. Again, Hobby Lobby. I got a lot of my books there. There are tons of books out there that are just kind of like little bits of Jesus, and it might be a good start for you. A couple that I'm going to share. One is Blessings for the Morning and Evening by Susie Larson. So it gives you something in the morning and something in the evening. A little bit of scripture and just some really positive, feel-good stuff to start your day and to end your day. Live in Grace, Walk in Love by Bob Goff. Anything by Bob Goff is going to be a win. You can't go wrong. Follow him on Instagram. If you're on Instagram, he has some great messages. He's awesome. Again, Live in Grace, Walk in Love. Anxious for Nothing by Max Lucado, I think I said his name right, is a book that my stepmom gave me. And when I was in Hobby Lobby, I saw he's got like this flip calendar with this. And it really helps for those who are anxious. Okay, this one might be a little controversial, but I'm just going to be a shock jock and say it. Find an F buddy, a faith buddy. When I was still working in radio, I had connected with somebody through Facebook when he found out I lost my mom, and he was dealing with his mom, and she was really sick. And so we connected, and over the years, we've just stayed in touch, and we've prayed for each other, and we've reached out, and we've stayed connected. So maybe find a faith buddy who kind of shares your values, and it's just on the same page as far as that goes. And I think it's really, really helpful to check in with each other every now and then. Be patient. It's a process, but be persistent. It will pay off. That's a lot of P's. It will pay off. Just be patient. And the most important P, just pray. If you don't know how, I don't know how. I thought I had to read the Bible, or I thought I had to go to church, or I thought I had to say the Our Father. Just pray. Just talk to God. He's listening. You don't even have to say it out loud. You can think it in your mind. He's listening. Trust me. He's listening. He may not respond right away. He may not give you the answers that you're so desperate to hear, but he is listening. Trust me. Okay, so that's it. I hope it helps. I am so nervous. Like, I'm sweating so much. It's such a vulnerable place to be in when you're talking about religion and faith. And it's something that has made me uncomfortable for so long because of being in radio. And I just felt like it was time to tell my story and to just help get it out there and help people that might need it in this time, because it's crazy, crazy times we're in right now. So again, now I'm rambling, and I hope it helped. And I just want to end with saying that I hope you have a blessed day. And please remember, God is with you wherever you go. God is with you wherever you go.